Thank you, Kaiju Lovers. We are back with another recap of our new favorite internationally known show, Monarch. I'm your host, Anthony, and I'm going to do my best to be your guide in this blockbuster show as we're picking up where episode 2 ended with Kate, Kentaro, and May meeting up with Ego the Living Planet Celestial Old Man Shaw in an effort to find out the details about the mystery of their missing father, Hiroshi. This episode is titled Secrets and Lies, which absolutely fits because there's a big aspect of the show that has some really deep conversation on the philosophical differences between secrets and lies. Not only that, but we continue to see the ramifications of secrets and lies, and Hiroshi's family continuing to struggle with the realization that their father was out here fornicating with multiple women. But also hints that the same thing may have been the case with Dr. Mira? This episode has so many great moments to break down and revisit, and I can't wait to jump into this episode with all of you. But first, do me a favor, if you're new here, give this channel a like, subscribe, keep up with our weekly Monarch analyses and breakdowns. I love that you guys are allowing me to have your time. I know how valuable it is. I'd really be grateful if you hit the like button, subscribe button. YouTube is still using this to help channels like me grow. Please, or just watch the next video. Watch the next video, because this way you'll be able to keep up with us every Thursday to help us figure out the mystery of Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. I really appreciate it. Thank you. This episode picks up where the last one left off, with Kentaro, Kate, and May popping up on Old Man Leland Shaw, aka Ego the Living Planet, Celestial thingy, and having a little Avengers Assemble moment for the first time. Shaw is a little surprised by everyone arriving, but does a good job of keeping it cool and acting like this isn't weird. Now that Shaw has the introductions out the way, he's all about breaking rules and encouraging the team to help him break out of this facility. It doesn't take too long for Monarch to get onto them with alarms blaring and our team making a run for it. Now, real quick, we get to see Shaw make a whole bunch of us feel old as we watch him struggle, and I mean struggle, with figuring out how to start the car without a key. And I don't know, maybe I just need a new car, but I still use a key to start my car. Like, is it that bad? Anyway, we then see Shaw struggle and do his best PlayStation Plus GTA impersonation and expertly escape by effortlessly controlling the car, full control, even helping Monarch redecorate the place as he makes his exit. Basically, Shaw is driving like a bat out of hell. We then switch to see young, not Captain America, Leland Shaw, and we're catching up with young Shaw in full ornate uniform as he waits to meet up with his superiors in the US Army, who are just as surprised that Shaw is here as Shaw is. That's the guy who assigned Shaw to escort Dr. Mira in the first place, and we find out that Shaw is trying to petition the US government to drop a bag and support Monarch's research into the nature of the Titans. Shaw and the General bro out for a little bit, but Keiko and Billy are a bit skeptical about trusting the US government. They're all led inside Monarch's massive air hangar. We also find out that this moment is 2 years after the Philippines, moving us forward, and we are now in the year 1954. They get inside and the team shows the General what looks like a Godzilla-sized footprint impression that they'd been studying. Billy and Shaw team up to verbally bargain for a large amount of plutonium to study the Titans. The General seems genuinely overwhelmed by the information he's receiving and starts asking some questions. Shaw and the team must have said something right, because soon after, we see the General leaving and the team celebrating that they're going to get their plutonium. They celebrate a bit more, and then Billy heads into the office to prepare. Now, something that's really interesting happens when we see Shaw and Keiko talking about everything that's happened, and hold up. Hold the F up. Did you see that? Am I the only one who peeped that? Like, yo! You see the googly eyes? Like, right there. It's right there. That frame right there. You see the sparks flying between these two? Don't tell me I'm the only one. Let's see where this goes. We then switch back to 2015 Tokyo, where we see Old Man Shaw, Kate, and Kentaro and May sitting in their van and regrouping about everything that's happening to them. and they start to plan out their next steps while also confirming whether or not Shaw has ever heard of the term Google. They go back and forth, cry a river about Kate and Kentaro's missing dad Hiroshi, and then reveal that the team and their car is on some sort of transport boat that's bringing them to their next destination. We then switch back in time to Bikini Atoll, 1954, with Shaw, Keiko, and Billy pulling up to a beach in a Jeep when they notice that the beach is swarming with army dudes. And it looks like the general brought a bomb of plutonium, which is not the form that anyone expected to receive their plutonium. Shaw walks up to the general and starts giving his best. Why? And the general actually seems somewhat sympathetic to the scientists, as this definitely isn't what they wanted. But he lets Shaw know that
it's above me now,
and pretty much confirms that this is happening. We then switch forward to 2015 and we see May on the boat over on the side somewhere acting sus. May is on the phone talking with someone about something, letting that someone know that she'll be coming back soon. We don't know who she's talking to, and neither does Kentaro, who's creep watching from the corner. May ends the conversation and then throws her phone into the ocean before giving Kentaro the stank eye. She then goes off on Kentaro for dragging her into this mess, costing her a crap ton of peace and privacy, and just ruining her life. Kentaro has nothing and makes the best decision when he decides to shut the F up. We then see the gang discussing their next steps, with Kentaro starting to question who the hell put Shaw in charge anyway. They go back and forth for a bit, with Kentaro starting to show an uncanny resemblance to Shaw, and they ultimately decide that the best thing for them to do is to throw all of Hiroshi's files back in the water where they came from. Yeah. We then see the group sometime later arriving in Pohang, South Korea. Shaw is leading them still and brings them to some border agents who need to process their passports to enter the country. Shaw uses his eternally ignorant charm to try to Han Solo his way through the process, and must have said something very, very wrong, because the border guys decide to do the whistle thing, and Shaw and company are under arrest. We see our group being led to the back of the dreaded Korea Customs Service van, and it's not looking good for our heroes, until one of the border officers pulls a Lando Calrissian and betrays his friend to help Shaw. This is the guy that Shaw was leading everyone to meet to help them on their journey. They all then load into a car and get while the getting's good. We then switch back to not Seth Rogen and the women's champ waiting at an airport for their boss to arrive and straighten things out. Their boss steps off the plane and is not too happy to be there, and lets Seth know it. She don't even want to hear Sami Zayn's BS and goes straight to the real person in charge and addresses the women's champ directly. They start speaking in French? I think that's French. Anyway, they start talking and going off about how Sami effed up and dragged the champ into his mess. This back and forth goes on for a bit until call from Shaw that Shaw is in Korea. They then eventually decide to let the Judgment Day take another shot at the belt and track down Shaw in Korea. We then switch back to see Duho, Shaw, May, Kentaro, and Kate arriving to a airport. They arrive and they're preparing to start the next leg of the amazing race. And this time they're going to be traveling in a giant sardine can that can fly. We then switch back to 1954, Bikini Atoll, with everyone complaining about how hot it is and how they're tired of waiting and just sounding like the kids in the back of the car. After a few moments, it's time to start the show, as Billy is the first one to see what looks like the spikes from Godzilla's spine. Everyone freaks out in different ways, with the general in absolute awe of the Titan, and Dr. Mira very, very disappointed in how things are going, and before we know it, we see it. We see Godzilla in all his glory, and it doesn't take long before my guy GZ is ready to chow down. Dr. Mira decides to stop giving an F and tries to use this opportunity to shut this ish down, and seemingly races towards shutting down the trigger. Shaw sees that she's about to do something really, really stupid and tackles her to the ground. Shaw, not Billy. Anyway, Shaw restrains Dr. Mira and the boys play with their toys and detonate the bomb, seemingly destroying Godzilla. We then see Billy show his puppy dog eyes and then look in the direction of Shaw and Dr. Mira on the beach. We then switch back to 2015 with our team flying in their sardine in order to continue their search for the whereabouts of Hiroshi Randa. Kate, Kentaro, and Shaw go back and forth discussing Hiroshi's faults as a father, with Shaw saying something interesting when he tells Kate that Hiroshi was keeping a secret, not a lie, and saying there's a difference. Keep that in the back of your head for a moment. May then chimes in and offers a clue as to where they should look next. We then switch back to 1954 in the Monarch air hangar with Keiko and Billy chatting about recent events. Shaw joins them and talks about how he reached out to the general to request more funding to continue their work and somehow got approval to get an unlimited budget. A blank check, he calls it. The team begin to discuss what this means and starts talking about their next steps. Keiko wants to talk about what it is that they share with the government and what it is that they keep to themselves, at least information-wise. Shaw is not at all interested in the idea of intentionally withholding information from his superiors and risking a court-martial. Keiko then decides to clarify and explains that this would be keeping a secret, not telling a lie, which isn't the same thing. Hold that. Shaw is still on the fence with Keiko asking if Shaw trusts both her and Billy. Shaw hesitates, and then Billy just asks Shaw straight up, do you at least trust her? And this part seems to get through to Shaw a bit. Shaw reconciles that he can only share information with the general that he actually knows, and Keiko and Billy need to decide what Shaw needs to know. Get it? Deal. We then switch back to the flying death trap with Keiko sitting in the co-pilot's chair having an impromptu therapy session with their pilot duo. It doesn't take long for them to run into some trouble and fly into some bad weather that starts really messing with our heroes. Duo decides to tag in Shaw and let Shaw fly the plane, with Kate sticking around in the front and not giving up the co-pilot seat. Things get intense with the weather getting choppy, but Shaw seems to do some more Han Solo type stuff and finds a place for them to land. Kentaro sees something flashing out the window, but nobody else sees it. Shaw then gives a 10-star Launchpad McQuack quality landing and gets everyone safely underground so that they can begin their search. It looks like our group conveniently landed exactly where they need to be, as they find plane wreckage just a few hundred feet from where they landed. Kentaro investigates the plane to see what he can find and finds a body in the pilot's seat, but confirms it's not his father, Hiroshi. They then move a few more feet away and find a tent with some gear inside where someone who survived the plane crash seems to have made a camp. Kate starts snooping around with Kentaro and they find evidence that the plane survivor is, in fact, their father, Hiroshi. Duo is still outside looking at the wreckage from the other plane, but oh shoot, Duo notices that the plane is showing evidence of landing safely, meaning if the plane landed safely, but it's in pieces now, then they're in a lot more trouble than everyone realizes, with Duo discovering claw marks on the side of the plane. It's at this point Duo runs full speed toward his plane and screams at everyone that it is time to go. Everyone starts running toward the plane, but this doesn't work and Duo doesn't get far as a freaking Titan pops up from underneath the ice. I mean, this thing is intense and it shifts. Wow, the ground is moving as it swims underneath, kind of like a shark fin, and then it emerges, and we get a good look at this new Titan that, to me, looks like a video game RPG creature. The Titan doesn't waste any time with making an impression, and the kaiju uses ice breath on Duo and the plane and freezes him and it in place before the creature curve stomps the plane into a million pieces, and then end credits. And yes, wow, yes, the Titan. I'm here for the Titans. What the F is up with this Titan that can breathe ice? Like, we just met Duo. We just met him. And now he's a statue because of this thing. That was unexpected. So much has happened in this episode with Old Man Shaw, Kentaro, Kate, and May traveling from Japan to Korea to Alaska in search of Hiroshi. May, she's having a secret conversation along the way. And Shaw, he's giving more and more evidence that this family tea is sweeter than we all thought. Am I the only one who at this point is suspecting that Billy Randa should have took a paternity test? Like, the chemistry that we saw from Shaw and Keiko at the beginning of this episode was intense. Like, I didn't expect to see all that. But there's so much that happened. What did you all think of this episode? Were you excited about the way things are going? Do you think Monarch is doing a good job at balancing the Titans and the human components? And are you interested in this whole mystery of Hiroshi Randa and the T? Let me know what you all think of this in the comments. I can't wait to talk about this episode with you, but that's all I have. As usual, hey, if you like these videos, do me a favor, like, subscribe, watch more videos. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to check you all later. Peace.